Good morning, everyone. Creator Mom, happy Saturday. Yesterday, I was thinking about the ego, and I feel like the ego and like the inner critic are like the same thing, or they're kind of like buddies, because I feel like the ego is like never satisfied. It's very performance based, it always demands more of you. It has a very harsh voice. You're never doing good enough. You could always do more for the ego. I feel like the ego and inner critic is kind of like having a narcissist inside your head in a way. Like I think with narcissists, I think that they're so merged with the ego and the inner critic that they can't hardly stand it and bear it, and then they take it out on everyone around them because they're just so melded with those parts. And I believe that they suffer too. I believe that narcissistic people are internally suffering. And I feel bad for that. Like, I feel compassion for them in that way. But that doesn't mean that I want to be around them. It doesn't want to be that I want to be subject to their bullshit. But I do feel bad for them. I do feel compassion, a level of compassion for their mental situation. But the way that they treat others, nobody deserves to be like under that or receiving that treatment. So yeah, the ego is just really demanding and harsh. It always wants you to perform better, more, it asks. And its voice, I feel like, is usually like kind of cold and harsh, not loving at all. It's the part that just tells you how stupid you are, how you could have done better, how you should have known better. But it doesn't really help us. It's like the critical person outside that tells you like how dumb you are, but they're not willing to offer you like a helping hand. They're just willing to like criticize and judge you, and like that's it. So yeah. The ego, because it just kind of made me think. And then obviously the spirit, love, I don't know, the other part of us, the true awareness, the true part of ourselves, which is love, God towards ourselves, is not like that. It always makes a way. Love always makes a way. The ego and the inner critic is very narrow-minded. It only sees one way, and it's like, you shouldn't have done that. It doesn't see how, even though you did that you are going to make it work for your good, that everything is, that it can be part of the plan, that it can be a bridge, that it's still going to all work together for your good. The ego is very like limited and finite minded, and it's short-sighted, but it thinks it's perfect. It's a perfectionist. It thinks it knows everything. And the inner critic too. The inner critic thinks like it knows everything. It knows the way, but it cannot see its short-sightedness, which sucks. And that's why people who are like narcissistic too, they always think they're right, but they can't see that, like, they can't see. Like, it can't see that like there's another way. It can't see the ways. It can't see the ways of God, right? The ways of God are stupid to the ego and to the inner critic, because those parts thrive upon, it's like very prideful. It thrives upon knowledge, like, like human knowledge and what people see as right, yeah, those things. It's short-sighted though. That's what we have to realize. It makes you feel like it knows everything, and then when you get further down the road, you're like, oh, okay, whatever happened back there, that mistake I thought that I did or whatever, actually worked out. Like, it actually somehow worked together for my good. And I was back there beating myself up because I was giving in and listening to the ego and the inner critic, beating myself up, talking about how stupid I am and how could I do this? But actually, now that I'm further down the road, I see that, wow, that was a very integral part of my process or my journey. So, that's why trust is integral, right? Because love and trust go together. And like the God part of us, our spirit, knows all things. It knows all things, but it's hard because you have to like lean into that. But it doesn't know all things like up here or something. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just different. Like, this thrives upon the five senses, which is one part of us, like, we do need our five senses, like, for things, to interact with the physical world, but there's places that our five senses can't take us, and we have to realize the limitations of those things, the limitations of the ego and the inner critic, that they don't know everything, even though they act like they do. Anyways, that was a bunch of mumbo jumbo. I think that's all I have to say though about that. And it's just like how to lean out of that. Like, okay, ego, okay, inner critic, like, wow, I hear you saying like I'm really stupid, I'm dumb. Okay, but I want to choose to lean into love for myself and understanding for myself and compassion for myself, not into that, into that stuff. So, I mean, it kind of sucks that we have these parts in a way. It's just like, what is that about? Like, why? Why must the flesh war against the spirit? Like, why must? What is the point of it all? Like, I guess I would be saying, like, why can't we just be God? Why can't we just be awareness and not be humanity? And, it's just like, oh, I hate that humanity part, that flesh part. It's so limiting. And even the way it thinks, it's just so stupid to have to deal with that shit, But, yeah, learning to trust, I think is a lot a part of this experience. Trust the spirit and all that kind of stuff. And how to I don't know, like how to use both of our worlds in the best way possible. How to make use of the five sense world, our finite brains, in the best way possible, and how to make use of our spiritual self, our divine self, our God self, also in the best ways possible. Like, how do we work together with both parts and flow in those? Anyways, all right. Comment down below if you have any suggestions.